Mook got the keys jumping.
Stay down till I can do what I want. Sacrifice the lot, invest in my own. Yeah. Poverty, it didn't break me at all. Hard times, it only made me stronger. I fell down a lot of times, got older, but it only made me smarter. Young, waiting on his karma. Bitch woman turn to a starter.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Skinny Jenny, and I'm coming to you today with another video. And this video is about vertical sleeve gastrectomy, and it's just going into depth of what it is, what is the process of getting it, the qualifications for insurance, the steps that you will have to take in order to get there if you are wanting to receive VSG or vertical sleeve gastrectomy. Okay, so I'll start out with a little bit of background about myself and why I decided to have the surgery. I personally had the surgery because I started my journey at 364 pounds. For someone of my stature, I'm not that tall. I'm 5'5.5" or 5'6", give or take. I was 364 pounds, and unfortunately, that's very big. I noticed that I was starting to continuously gain weight. My ankles stayed swollen, my legs were swollen, my back hurted. I did not want to do anything. I didn't want to be active. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to walk long distances because I would be so out of breath. Like, I'm talking about like about to have a heart attack out of breath. And I did not want that for my life. I began to think about wanting to one day have children, wanting to one day be married and be able to fit in a beautiful dress. And no, it's not all about materialistic things, but come on y'all, let's be real. You want to be bad and fine on your wedding day. I know you do. I do too. So I started to research different options that I had because unfortunately I was having a tough time losing weight on my own. It was so hard for me. I would lose weight, gain it back, and some of it wasn't all eating habits. Some of it was, what I found out later on, was hypothyroidism. And hypothyroidism, it makes you gain weight. I mean, you can be this big and end up being huge in a matter of time because of hypothyroidism. So I first had to try to get that under control. It was only mild, so it was basically changing my diet as much as I can, removing some foods out of my diet, incorporating more water because I was not drinking a lot of water, unfortunately, and just changing my lifestyle, because at the end of the day, vertical sleeve gastrectomy or VSG is a lifestyle change. It is not something that you can just have it and you're back to being you. No, every single thing in your life has to change. Okay, so like I said, I stopped wanting to have the deal with the swollen legs and the swollen ankles and the back hurting and the joints hurting, the knees hurting. I got tired of that. I began to lose my sexy. I began to feel as if I was not adequate enough anymore, because I couldn't do the things that I was able to in the beginning, because I had gotten so big. So I started researching weight loss surgery programs. At first I was like, oh, I'm gonna do the lap band. And when I started to do the research, I was like, no. I was like, absolutely not. Because with the lap band, they take a foreign object, put it in your stomach, wrap it around there and tighten it. And it may work for some people, but there can be erosion with that device. It can slip and damage you and or kill you. I was like, that is not going to be my story. And then once it's in there, you have to pay for another surgery to get it removed, and I just didn't want to have to go through that. And it's not permanent. It's something that's temporary, and if it slips, you can gain all the way back. So I didn't want to do that. I did not decide on gastric bypass because honestly, when I looked at the surgery and looked at how it was done, I did not like how they reroute your intestines to go this way and that way and your stomach, and I was just like, I don't like that. So I decided against that, and I settled on vertical sleeve gastrectomy. With vertical sleeve gastrectomy, what it is they take your stomach. Your stomach is huge right now, and I myself had stretched my stomach a whole lot by eating and consuming so much food, because I did have an eating addiction where I would just eat when I was sad, eat when I was mad, eat when I was happy. I would just eat, and I would eat, for example, one of my meals would be 12 wings with fries, a drink, and a snack, you know, like a little dessert snack on the side, along with 6 other wings with celery and carrots. And that was me telling myself, oh, that's healthy because you got some celery and carrots. Who was I kidding? That was not healthy. So you know, like I said, I had that eating disorder or whatever, and so basically what VSG did was took my huge stomach and they took away about 85% of my stomach, 80 to 85% of my stomach, and it gives you a little kind of like a the size of a small banana. And I will put a picture in here somewhere around here, up there, down there, anyway. I'll put it in there somewhere. And when they take your stomach and make it small like that, it's a sleeve, and that's how you get the name vertical sleeve gastrectomy, because of course you're working on the gastric area, and it's a vertical and it's a sleeve. Okay, so that is what VSG is. VSG, it minimizes what you can put into your body, or how much at a time you can put in your body. And sometimes, honestly, it limits what you can eat. Like, I no longer can eat fried foods. If I eat something fried, it tears my stomach to pieces. And not talking about having to go to the restroom, but it just feels like it's ripping my stomach into shreds. It hurts so bad. And I can eat sweets, but if I eat ice cream or something like that, it gives me almost like the feeling of a sugar rush, and it makes me feel sick to my stomach. So I don't really eat a lot of ice cream. I do eat the Italian ice. I do have that. It's sugar free, even though it's still sweet, but it's still good and it's sugar free, and I don't have to worry about those empty calories as well now. Okay, and it's nothing wrong with having snacks during after you have VSG. It's nothing wrong with that. Just have it in moderation, and once your body rejects something, don't keep trying to put it into it. Bottom line, don't keep trying to do that, because you're gonna mess your stuff up and your sleeve. You don't want to stretch your sleeve back out. You want to keep that thing as tight as possible so you continue to lose the weight that you are trying to lose. Okay, so the process of how long, you know, it will take. Some insurance companies, they require 1 year of supervised diet and fitness exercise. Some companies require 6 or 3. My company only required 3 months of supervised diet with a nutritionist and exercise. Honestly, y'all, when I first started the process, I was not serious, because I was like, they just gonna cut it out anyway. They just gonna cut the stomach out anyway. And I wasn't understanding the severity of what I was about to do to myself, because this thing is serious. It's not a game, okay? And I learned that once I was post-op. But before, you know, pre-op, I was just like, oh, they're gonna cut it out. And every time I was going to the nutritionist, I was gaining weight. 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds. And imagine going in there, and I will go in there and I will try to make all these excuses of why I was not losing the weight. And it was me. It was my fault. I tried to blame the nutritionist. I tried to blame people around me, but it was me who was having the issue and who needed to take responsibility to hone what I was learning in my nutrition class and start to put those healthy habits to work. Okay, so once I got past that, I did end up receiving a phone call from my insurance company, and I remember to this day the nurse was like, Genesis, if you can get your weight back to your beginning weight when you first started the process, I believe, which was 342. Yes, I started the process at 342, and by the time I was done, I was at 364. Okay, and she told me, she said, you know, you are a candidate for surgery, but at this time we can't really approve you because you haven't lost any weight, but you've constantly gained. And with some people, like my insurance company, they did not require me to lose any weight, but I definitely wasn't supposed to gain weight. Honey, I had gained so much weight from 342 to 364. So it was almost like a wake-up call for me, you guys. I was like, wow, I got to do better. I cannot let this weight defeat me. I cannot let my eating habits defeat me. I didn't want to be that person. I knew that I was fed up with being overweight, and I knew that I had to take control of myself and stop eating unhealthy and get active and do what I need to do in order to have my surgery. So what I did was I started to cut things out of my diet automatically. I stopped drinking. I stopped going out. I stopped eating fried foods. I was working out and drinking a lot of water, and also changing my mindset, speaking positivity into myself, and removing anybody that was negative around me that may have influenced bad habits. You know, before, I was removing those people out of my life. So anyway, here's the steps to get to VSG. First, I was required to go to a seminar about it. There I was able to meet one of the doctors in my office that performed the surgery of, you know, all the surgeries, which, well, two of the surgeries, which is gastric bypass and a vertical sleeve gastrectomy. He gave a full review of it. He did not sugarcoat things. He kept it 100, okay? And if you don't know what 100 means, that means for real. He kept it real. He, you know, went into detail of, you know, the safety precautions you will definitely have to take. He also went into, you know, something, you know, things that could happen during surgery that you don't want to happen, and that really, you know, don't really happen or rarely happens, but it's a possibility it could happen. So I do recommend going to that seminar. The nutrition appointments. I'm sorry, y'all. My nose is kind of leaky for some reason. I think it's the air in here. But nutrition appointments. I myself, I think I had one every month. I want to say every month or every couple of weeks. I can't remember like that. But you have to go through these nutrition appointments. And honestly, if I can keep it 100 with you guys, my first nutritionist was horrible. And I'm just keeping it real. No tea, no shade to her. But she was just horrible to me. She was not kind. And I mean, honestly, she wasn't mean either. But she just wasn't really caring like that. It was almost like, let's get in, let's get out. You know, I'm here to make my job. You're my last patient. I'm ready for you to go. That's kind of how it was. And unfortunately, and many times that would discourage me. I'm like, dang, she's like this. But I ended up getting a new nutritionist, and she was the best. She was sweet, she was kind, she was firm, but she still took care of me as a patient, knowing where I currently was and where I was trying to go. With the nutrition appointments, they're going to tell you how you should be eating. They will put you on a pre-op diet. They should be giving you information on what you should be eating, the things you should be consuming, the food that you should be cutting out. Mine was carbs. They told me to cut out carbs, and that means sometimes you got to cut out fruit too. Any sugars you're having chips. If you're a chip fanatic, try to find other healthy options for those, and make sure you're reading your stats. Everything you do with VSG is about reading the back of those labels. Read them. If you don't read the back of those labels, unfortunately, it could say something on the front. It could say protein. It could say all this type of stuff. But once you look on the back and you look at those stats, it's unhealthy. So I would suggest looking at those stats and look at the back of everything. They're also going to ask, are you drinking enough water? Many of us, we don't drink enough water at all. I know I wasn't at first. I now have to get a minimum of 64 ounces of water a day. So that's about a half a gallon. Now, when I had my old stomach, you know, before my pouch, I was able to consume a gallon of water. But because I got this little bitty stomach now, I can't drink that much. So I try to make sure I do not go over, you know, 80 ounces of water a day, because it hurts my tummy if I try to get any more in there. Also, she went over protein. Protein is a huge thing when you are having this surgery, because your body is going to rely on protein. That is how you're going to lose your weight. If you're not getting enough protein, shoot, if you're not even getting enough water, but mainly protein, you will unfortunately have not a lot of success, honestly. You will begin to gain, because your body is going to be like, okay, I'm not getting enough. And then a lot of people think you have to just have vegetables. It's the type of vegetables you're putting into your body. If you are putting in starchy vegetables, you will not have a huge weight loss as well. So you want to think about that. Next is your psych eval. This is the part where you just go to your psychologist. They talk to you. They see if you're adequately mentally ready for the surgery, because many people want this surgery, but it's not easy, and you can end up going into a heavy depression. Some people end up going into alcoholism and many different other things once they have this surgery, because your life is no longer the same, and it can be scary for you. Honestly, it was scary for me, and I end up having to have, I passed my psych eval, of course, but once I passed my psych eval, I also had to meet with a counselor because of the trauma that I had expressed to the psych eval that I had experienced. They wanted me to talk to a counselor to get more assistance, so I do not have regain after surgery, because honestly, trauma, once you lose weight, you don't understand how trauma will hit you. Your past trauma will hit you severely, because you'll have time to think, and the things that you go through, you will not be able to, you'll no longer be able to rely on eating to make you feel better. You will no longer be able to rely on, you know, consuming a bunch of sweets at a time to deal with that breakup or to deal with that death or whatever. So I had to talk to a counselor, and honestly, that was a good thing for me too. But again, I still was not losing weight at this time. It wasn't until that call that made me snap out of it, and I began to get, you know, on board and start losing the weight and, you know, get myself together. The next thing is your healthy habits seminar. You will have a healthy habits class if you go to a doctor like mine. That was a requirement. You cannot have the surgery before, because they wanted you to talk to someone who's already had the surgery, who's been through that process, whether it's gastric bypass or vertical sleeve. You want to have that seminar. You get a book, well, a few books. They give you samples, you play some games. It's a really fun time if you go to a seminar with someone like the person who did my seminar. She was amazing, and she was also my counselor as well when it was time to deal with that trauma that I had experienced, so I wouldn't have the regain that they were talking about. Next was a sleep test. If you're heavy set, some people don't snore, but I snored. I snored like a bear, like a grizzly bear, okay? I could snore so loud the neighbors would hear me down the street. And so I had to have a sleep test. You want to make sure you're having that sleep test. They want to make sure you don't have sleep apnea, because the worst thing that could happen is that you wake up during surgery. And if you wake up during surgery, or or subconsciously start moving your hands and stuff, you could damage something or hurt someone or hurt yourself, and you don't want that. So I had to have a sleep test. When I had that sleep test done, it was found that I had severe sleep apnea, where I stopped breathing so many times during sleep. And it wasn't because of my lungs or anything. It was because I was overweight. I had so much fat around my chest area and my lung area that my lungs could not go in and out. They could constrict. I might be saying that wrong, but they could not do anything once I got in a deep sleep, because of my sleep apnea and because of my weight. So I had to be on a CPAP machine, and I had to be on that CPAP machine for a few months basically. And by me being on that CPAP machine, if you don't use, they can tell when you're using it, because it connects to the closest Wi-Fi. And if they can't pick the Wi-Fi up, they will ask you to bring in your chip, because they have an SD card in there, and they will ask you to bring that in. And when they read it and you haven't been using it, they will tell you, we cannot clear you until you use it. So make sure you are using your CPAP if you are prescribed a CPAP to use. Me, of course, I'm a rebel. So I wasn't using it like that, because number one, it felt like I was suffocating. Number two, I did not like anything on my face. Number three, I would subconsciously take that thing off in the middle of the night. I would put it on when I went to sleep, and I would wake up and it's sitting over there on top of the CPAP machine. How that happened, I don't even know, but it would be off of me. I mean, and you could tell I subconsciously took it off, because it would be just laying over there, gently, like neatly put over there. I'm like, yeah, that was my subconscious that put it over there, because that wasn't me. I wasn't awake when I took it off. So once I started to get used to it, or once I went back into the doctor and she was like, all right, we can't clear you, I was like, all right, let me put my big girl panties on, sleep with this thing. I had to sleep with it a minimum of 4 hours a night for 2 weeks. That's all she required of me. And she went ahead and approved me, because I wanted to go ahead and have my surgery. And I still sleep with it every now and again. I'm not consistent now, I'll be honest with you, because I've lost a lot of weight and I really don't snore like that anymore. So I had to have an upper GI, because they want to make sure your liquids are going down fine. They want to make sure you don't have any hernias. They want to make sure you don't have any blockages, any stomach ulcers, just a number of things that upper GI will show once you once you have it or whatever. And they'll know if you have any bacteria in your stomach, and things like that. That was fairly easy. It's like an X-ray. You go to the doctor, you drink this liquid, they make you kind of like hold a liquid there or something like that, or before you swallow or something like that. And it was quick and easy. I think it took about maybe 20 minutes. I know some doctors, they do theirs very different, where you have to go, it's almost like you have to go into surgery or something. You have to go, they have to put you to sleep and all this other stuff. Mine didn't require that. It was simple, easy peasy, and they just took a x-ray video of my insides, my esophagus and my stomach. You will have to get labs. Your lab work is going to show if you have diabetes, if it's going to show if you have hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, because it's two of them, right? It's also going to show if you have any, you have to do a breath test. If you have a breath test, that basically you're blowing into something and it's making sure you don't have any bacteria in your stomach. If you have bacteria in your stomach, they will have to begin treatment on you in order to remove that bacteria before you're able to go further with the surgery. And they just check your blood pressure, they check your cholesterol, they check everything, honey. So once you go in there, you will know if you have a clean bill of health or not. After that, they send all of this information off to your insurance company. At this point, your insurance company, they will look at all of that paperwork. They will look at numbers. And when I tell you, they don't just, you know, approve you out of nowhere. They really look at your paperwork. They go by, they look at all of the numbers, they look at all of the stats, everything. They look at the notes from the doctors, the nurses, anybody you had contact with. If it's in your chart, they're looking at it, and that is how they determine if they're going to either deny or approve you. With the insurance, once they get all of that information, usually I would say also connect with your insurance company. One thing, I believe another thing that helped me get approved, because I stayed in contact with them. I stayed on them. I did not just sit back and wait for them to call me. I found out the benefits that I had. I found out what they covered. I found out what I needed to do, how much of my deductible had already been paid, if my deductible had already been paid in full, because I was going to so many doctor's appointments that it ended up being paid in full already, so I didn't have to come out of pocket with anything. But you know, I stayed connected with them. Then when they assigned a case manager to my chart, which is the nurse, I stayed in contact with her. I gave her updates. I was nice to her. I was kind to her when she called me to talk to me about these things. I did not let my frustrations out on her, even though sometimes I would be frustrated because I was like, you know, I'm trying all that I can and I'm doing all that I can. And you know, when they contact you, you just want to be open and be honest about it, and also, you know, just talk to them to make sure and ask them questions. They are there to help you. You are the client. You are the customer. Always remember that. Do not forget that, because many people don't understand. They look at these insurance companies as a bully. Don't look at them like that. Look at them as almost like your physician. They're there to take care of you as a customer. So keep that in mind. Now, if you do get denied, you are able to appeal. Don't let that discourage you, because you're able to appeal the process and get on in there and have your surgery. But you got to find out why you were denied. Ask the questions of, number one, why was I denied? Number two, what can I do to be approved for the surgery? Was there something that I did wrong? Can I do something different? What are the requirements? Something, so you can go ahead and have the necessary surgery that you are looking to have. Our pre-op diet. The pre-op diet is the pre-op liquid diet. That is your liquid diet. Once you have been approved and everything, your surgery has been scheduled, you don't start that until then. So if you haven't received an approval, if you haven't received a surgery date, do not, I repeat, do not let them start you on a liquid diet, because your liquid diet has to at least be 2 weeks. Okay, during that liquid diet, you are able to have water, chicken broth, beef broth, sugar-free popsicles, sugar-free Gatorade, no solids. No solids. That means no oatmeal, just no soft foods, nothing. I mean, when I say liquid diet, I mean liquid diet, liquid protein, just liquid. You want to abide by the liquids that they are saying you are supposed to have. If you cheat and the doctor opens you up and your liver has not shrunk small enough for them to be able to get to your stomach, they will open you up and they will close you back, and you will wake up and you will still have your regular stomach. I'm telling you now, do not cheat. With all you got in you, hold it together, drink your liquids, drink your water, and it's going to be hard. Trust me, it was hard. Now, post-op. Post-op, you've gotten through everything, and now you have this new stomach. Oh my gosh. I can't really eat anything because this is right when you first have the surgery. You are back on liquids and you can't eat anything. When I say you can't eat, water hurt going down. Protein shakes hurt going down. You know, you wake up and you're dealing with the gas. It's so much gas, you know, and it's hurting, you know. Now, as far as pain in my stomach, I didn't have any pain. But the gas pain is a whole nother different thing, because it's like you want to burp so bad, but it's not coming up. The burps are not coming up. So you're just sitting there like you're beating on your chest. You know, I think I asked for so much gas medicine in the hospital. My nurses were amazing though. But I know in their head, they're probably like, if this girl asked for some more gas medicine. But I needed it. You know, the sooner you get up and start walking, that gas pressure is going to release. It's going to release, honey. And then you're going to start working on your liquids, trying to get your liquids down. And I believe you have to do, like, you know, some clear liquids. They did bring me some unsweetened tea, but honey, sweet tea was, it was like heavy on my, not sweet tea, unsweetened tea, but the tea was heavy on my stomach. I don't know if it was just how dark it was, I don't know, but it just felt heavy. So I wasn't able to really have the tea, so I had them take that away, and I just kept drinking my my sugar-free Gatorade, or Gatorade Zero, or whatever it was. I kept drinking my water. They had some, I believe they had some unsweetened applesauce there. They had, I'm trying to think what else they had. They had some other things there. I can't really remember it, because honestly, I was out, you know. But I did have those things, the water, and I had broth. Oh, they had some of the best chicken broth I had in a while. Like, it was really good. So I had that. With that being said, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And put any questions you have down in the comment area. And as always, enjoy. Bye-bye.